Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
Hi, welcome to Money Talks, the Journal Times online business talk show. I'm your host, business reporter Michael Burke, and today we are at a new business as of, about 6 weeks old now?
Yep, beginning of March.
Yeah, which is DeRango the Pizza King on Main Street. What's the exact address, Tony?
1439 North Main.
And of course, you're the owner-operator, Tony DeRango. You have another restaurant. Why don't you mention that one and where that one is?
That one's located 4621 6 Mile Road, on the corner of 31, 32, and 6 Mile.
Yeah, better known as that crazy corner.
Yeah, the crazy corner. DeRango's on 6 Mile. Yeah.
Now, from the outside, a lot of people probably don't know what this place is unless maybe they saw the story that we did about a few weeks ago. Because from the outside, it still looks like Phoenix Chocolate Shop, and in a way, it still is. So, why don't you explain why it's still a chocolate shop, but now it's also a pizzeria?
Well, I wanted to keep the chocolate shop going. Again, it's a lost art, and
you say keep it going. Now, you actually bought that business.
Bought the business 2008 and moved it to this location. And then, being that this location was the first DeRango the Pizza King in Racine, where my dad started, I said, well, I'll acquire the building. Didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time.
Oh, you did?
So I just happened, the chocolate shop came up for sale. I said, well, now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the chocolate shop and move it here, with eventually going to put in a full kitchen, which was just recently completed.
Yeah. So you bought the very building where your dad started the local Racine area DeRango family business, which is, of course, splintered into numerous DeRangos right now. How many different ones are there? 5 or 6?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my own 6. This is 7.
Okay, yeah. So your dad, Giovanni, otherwise known as John DeRango, I assume that's where you learned the business?
Yep. It was 10 years old. Come on, you're coming to work with me. Get your white shirt on, we're going.
Didn't have a lot of choice?
Did no choice at all. And it was like, oh, but that he, I guess, did that with me. It's just been a labor of love ever since.
Now wait, do you have other brothers who also got kind of swept
Yeah,
into
Frank
this?
started at 10.
Uh-huh.
And again, there was no choice.
Uh-huh.
You didn't play sports or nothing. We're going to work. And he basically runs the one on Highway 20 in Emerson.
What was your first job or jobs when you came in at age 10?
Making pizzas.
So what do you have to learn?
Dad got me a little step stool.
Here it is.
You go on the step stool, you learn to use the roller and roll the pizzas.
Oh,
So I made pizzas Saturday and Sunday at lunchtime.
So you guys rolled them. You don't do the thing with your hands, then, the throwing of the pizza?
When he first opened this location, he was hand tossing them.
Oh.
It was so busy, he couldn't keep up.
Oh.
So he got this roller, and then he just saw how you could mass produce them. Most people would be waiting, so long.
Yeah. Now, what year was that he started?
1953.
And this is 2013, so that's 60 years ago. We're actually kind of at a sort of momentous anniversary year right now that you're doing this.
Yep.
Your dad has passed away, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah. How does your recipe, of course, you still retain the word pizzeria in the name, the very same name that he had, right? DeRango the Pizza King, and that's the exact name of this place?
Yep.
How do the recipes compare back then and now?
They are the same. The only thing we do different is Dad used a lot of cornmeal on the pizza crust. Probably about the...
You mean like finely ground cornmeal or what?
Yeah, like you have your pizza peel, you roll your crust, cornmeal on the bottom, and you throw your crust on and build your pizza.
Oh, so that's the thing that makes it not stick?
Yes.
Okay.
All I want to say it was probably the end of the 80s or into the 90s. The people were almost complaining that you didn't clean the ovens because my pizza is dirty on the bottom. Well, that was just the cornmeal.
Uh-huh.
Well, so that's the only thing so I pulled the cornmeal off, and now we just lightly flour it.
Uh-huh.
And we build our pizzas and still cook them on the stone.
Mm-hmm. Where did his original recipe come from for the dough, for the sauce in particular? Because I would think that would be the one element that could vary.
That had to have been from, we called her Nana DeRango. And I didn't get the sauce
Who
recipe.
is that, your grandmother?
Yeah, Dad's mom.
Okay.
I didn't get the sauce recipe until I was into my 20s.
Really?
Yeah. So all this time I was making dough and doing all the cooking and that. When it came to the sauce, he took care of the spices.
Oh.
And he just never
Did you ever ask him, hey, what's in this?
You didn't
sauce?
ask Dad that. You did what he said, and that was it.
That's funny.
Yeah, you didn't question him. It could be wrong or right, but it was his place, and you did what he said.
Now, he didn't stay here a real long time before he went elsewhere, right?
No.
What was the story there?
5 years, 7 years, 5 years he was here. The landlord saw he was doing a great business, and he wanted to raise the rent mid
midterm.
lease, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, we have a lease till this.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that he's going to really, jump that rent, he started looking for another place, and he bought 619 High Street, which was Smitty's TV. My dad wanted that location. He always told me I paid top dollar for that place, but he wanted that place. And he closed this like a month or two before the lease was up. Put a sign on the door, come see me at 619 High Street.
Oh, yeah.
The landlord got so mad because he goes, well, you left the place, I want to move in. My dad said, no, you are paid for the next month or two, whatever it was. I'm keeping that place empty. So he kept it empty for a while. I think it was a month or two. It had the sign on the door, and everybody knew to go to DeRango the Pizza King on High Street,
Yeah.
619 High Street.
Now, this place is...
Gentlemen, some garlic bread for each of you.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Oh, it smells great. This place is small, and it has a nice kind of cozy, casual feel. What were you going for when you made this place into what it is?
The old 20s look. Even though Dad didn't have it this way, I said that's the only thing I'm going to spin on it. I want to bring it back to 100 years ago, roughly turn of the century. I like Racine history, and I just like the woods. The floor is the original floor. We just had it sanded and refinished.
Yeah.
Everybody does the 50s theme, ice cream pizza parlor
right,
shop.
right.
I wanted to go back to the 20s, 30s.
Yeah. Speaking of woods, you even took it to the extent of putting paneling on the outside of your ice cream case, so it wouldn't have that cold white metallic look,
Yep.
which I think is pretty cool.
Yep. Prior to that, it was hid in the corner. Thank you. I had the
That looks so good.
ice cream facing where you really couldn't see it once you walked in the door.
Oh,
Because I didn't want that. Well, there it is.
okay.
I didn't want that. So I had that face put on it.
Uh-huh.
We got the retro Pepsi cooler, and
I like the pocket door you have on a rail, I guess. What do you use that for?
as the sun comes around, the chocolate's got to be protected. So we move the door with the sun so it doesn't melt the chocolates.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
We do our best with that.
Now, when you bought Phoenix, were you buying a chocolate recipe, or
Yep,
how did
I
that
have
go?
all the recipes. She was retiring, and I used to go in there and say, hey, when you're ready to retire, let me know, because it's a lost art and just want to dabble into it. And maybe 3 to 5 years later, she called me up, said, Tony, the place is for sale. I'm ready to retire. And yeah, I have all the recipes in somebody's handwriting, whether it was hers or grandma's or wherever it came from. All the recipes are all locked up, and they are digitally, they're on digital too in case.
And where's the candy made?
Right now, the candy is made on the second floor.
You say right now. Do you plan to change that or what?
No, when we first opened, it was made on the first floor.
Oh, okay.
And since we put the kitchen in, we had to make room, and I didn't want the chocolate to absorb the smells of the Italian spices or onion or green pepper or whatever it had.
Oh, yeah.
So we moved that to the second floor, and all the food is made on the first floor.
You actually told me for the interview for the story that you took special care when you were putting in a heating, ventilation, air conditioning system.
Yep.
Talk about what you made sure to
No
do.
smells to transfer. We got to exchange this air as quick as we can, and keep it fresh. So when you come in, if there's a bunch of diners, you're going to smell the Italian food. Once the place clears out, that air is going to get exchanged, and you're going to get back to smelling the sweets.
Yeah,
which does happen.
Yeah, I'm sure, because it smelled like chocolate when we came in today. Now, before we leave the chocolate, it's been called Phoenix chocolate, but that's actually pretty rapidly changing to your own name. So what's it going to be called?
DeRango's Premium Chocolate.
Okay, and that's pretty much the case now, right?
Yeah.
If you buy a little box of it, that's what it says on the box.
Yeah. Because we have DeRango Premium Frozen Foods. It has the frozen pizza sales that I run.
Oh, right.
So I'm using that DeRango Premium and just changing frozen foods to DeRango Premium Chocolates. And then the tagline, chocolate fit for a king.
Yeah.
Playing the whole Pizza King
Yeah.
on there.
So let's talk about the pizzeria food now. We touched on the recipe for the pizza. Talk about some of the rest of the menu.
All the sauces are, homemade, like we had talked about. And
what sorts of foods? I know you have a line of bombers, for example.
Yep, the bombers, the burgers.
Your line of, before we leave bombers, because I love them,
Yeah.
for one thing, but you have a really pretty extensive line. You have how many different kinds of bombers, do you think?
We have the BLT bomber, meatball bomber, Italian sausage bomber, Philly beef, chicken, Philly. So that's about, and they come in 6 foot lengths, or 6 foot, 6 inch or 12 inch. So you can get the small one or the large one.
And then now the chicken that was just brought out, on your menu it says Henny Penny Chicken, and I grew up in Racine seeing that name, Henny Penny, having no idea what that means or where that comes from. So explain that, because there's a story behind that.
Yep, that, again, back in the 50s, chicken was just getting going. And
That's hard to believe, by the way, that it just hasn't been with us forever.
The process was so slow, I guess, in making. It took so long to prepare for the customer that a guy from Louis from Kenosha was sold the particular breading and the machines. So he had the franchise to sell.
These are like deep fryers or something?
Yeah, pressure fryers.
Pressure fryers.
Time and temperature.
Okay.
It's all
Okay.
timed. And so he came to my dad and said, hey, try this new process. You got to buy this breading, use this machine. Within 13, 14 minutes, you're going to have an awesome product. And so my
That's
dad
pretty quick.
took the machine, the breading, and it's been that way ever since. So Louis from Kenosha actually introduced it to my dad, and my dad put it in all his places, and now I think it's almost a Racine staple.
So did it spread, and was he the first one to use that in Racine?
As far as my knowledge, yes.
Uh-huh.
I'll just shift this over here.
Wow.
A bit. And lasagna.
Holy cow.
And then the
I'll
cacciatore,
be bringing the
we'll leave
kitchen
that
kitchen.
one out, or we'll bring that in.
I don't know if we have room here, do we? That can be up to our producer to make that call.
I'll bring it up.
And you have a really extensive menu. It's a small menu, but there's just a lot of stuff on it. Like you mentioned, burgers and I think soups. Help me out here. What are some of the other
Soup,
categories?
chili, bread bowls,
Just going to set this over here.
salads, wraps, and this is a lot of the food I tried to stay with what my dad had because I have some original menus, but then I also had to add things of today, like the wraps
Yeah.
are very popular.
Yeah.
And the Italian food, obviously I kept all the homemade ones there, and because we started with pasta and pizza, and then a little bit, the chicken came later, like I had said. And in fact, the sandwiches, because we have some old pictures, so I seen them making certain sandwiches, and I said, well, I don't have the menu from the 50s, but I can see in this picture what they had, so I'm going to bring that back.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our chicken cacciatore over fettuccine noodles. You have sautéed mushroom, onion, green pepper, tomato, and chicken breast pieces over a bed of fettuccine, lightly sauced over the top with our homemade sauce. Then we have our homemade lasagna. That is a full order. We do have half orders and full orders on the menu. All homemade. We grind our own meat and then season it in our homemade sauce, and it's 3 layers high. Over here is the henny penny chicken that we had talked about with the french fries on the side. And dinner is the 4 pieces, your breast, thigh, leg, and your wing. And over here would be our pizza that we are famous for. This one is cheese sausage, mushroom, onion, green pepper, and pepperoni. This is our 14-inch. And this is our signature pizzas that DeRango's is famous for in Racine.
You also have, and this is kind of, I think, fitting with a place that harkens back to an earlier time, you also have the scoop type ice cream, Cedar Crest, right?
No, that
no.
is, now I don't remember the brand offhand.
Oh.
It's something that is not, I want to say maybe it's private label, whatever it is, but it's something that's not available to the public.
But it's not the machines, it's
yeah.
where you actually scoop it out of the
But
tubs.
we do have the frozen custard, which goes back to 1965 when my dad purchased DeRango's on 6 Mile. That was a Dairy Delight. It was a place 30 by 30, very small building. He bought that place to eventually put pizza in there, and so he started with the custard at that time.
Very much akin to what you did here. You bought a sweet shop to bring it
Right.
in a pizzeria.
And I still use the same custard from the same family that we started with in 65.
Yeah. Now, one thing you don't have on your menu, and I know for a very particular reason, there are no alcoholic beverages, and that's a conscious choice you made. Why don't you explain why you decided
I personally am not a drinker, never was a drinker, and I want a family place. And you just hear all these horror stories, especially around the holidays. The families get together and they drink, and then they're fighting and everything. And a family place, you can have a water, a soda, a lemonade or something, enjoy some good food. And I think that's what it should be about. I believe when it comes to kids, I don't think they should be exposed to the alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, interesting choice. You're going to do something about the signage soon, I take it, because we're doing this show on April, what are we, 15th or something
16th.
like that. Because again, it looks like Phoenix Chocolate Shop from the outside driving by, but you'll make that change pretty soon, so people will see it at street level and.
Yep, working on signs, meeting with the guy tomorrow, and I wanted a slow process. I wanted to get acclimated with the kitchen, making sure everything goes right. It's if you open up and you're advertising full bore and everybody's new and no one knows really much how it's.
A lot of things
you
can
think
go wrong.
it's going to play out, but sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe circuits start popping, machines are breaking down. Just because you buy new things doesn't mean it's always going to work.
Oh, right.
So I wanted to, it's a slow, but by the time this weather breaks, it gets a little warmer, that signage is going to be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A last quick question, just yes or no, are you getting any of the teachers from Jane's Elementary School?
Yes.
That's good, that's good. Right across the street. Well, Tony DeRango, best of luck with your new pizzeria. I really, I'll bring a few of my colleagues every now and then over here for lunches, if I can. You've been watching Money Talks, the Journal Times online business show with Tony DeRango at DeRango the Pizza King at 1439 North Main. Did I get that right?
1439 North Main Street.
Thanks to our producer, Scott Anderson, today. I'm business reporter Michael Burke. And remember, money talks.